Ex-wife laughs at his ruined mansion, but what happens next is 150 of shocking truth. Part 2. The air crackled with disbelief as the grand estate, once a shimmering symbol of wealth and power, now stood in ruins. Towers that scraped the sky were marred with blackened marks from a recent fire. Windows, shattered and forlorn, mirrored the despair in the hearts of onlookers. They gossiped and pointed, their whispers filled with a mix of horror and dark curiosity. "Can you believe she laughed?" someone muttered, wide-eyed. The mere thought sent shivers down spines, leaving everyone questioning the sanity of the ex-wife, who stood amidst the rubble, her voice dripping with disdain. Could someone truly find joy in another's downfall? Crows circled overhead, cawing as if heralding a tragic event. A lone figure, Jack, stood at the gate, the flickering memories of laughter and love like ghosts in his mind. He pressed his hands against the jagged metal, feeling its sharpness bite into his skin. Every breath he took felt heavier, a lump forming in his throat that nearly choked him. They had built this house together, a sanctuary filled with dreams. But now, the decaying walls echoed secrets he could no longer bear. What had gone wrong? The question gnawed at him as fiercely as the fire had devoured the mansion. Suddenly, a haunting sound sliced through the air. It was her laugh again, a melody twisted with malice. "You thought you could keep it all?" she mocked, throwing her head back, reveling in his devastation. The crowd shifted, intrigued by her audacity, their eyes sparkling with disbelief and a sense of twisted justice. Jack clenched his fists, heart pounding wildly in his chest. What did she know? Was this payback for old wounds? The tension surged, palpable like a violent storm brewing just below the surface. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The crowd was now buzzing with anticipation. Some folks gasped, others murmured half-formed thoughts, their emotions flaring like the flames that had consumed Jack's dream. A woman in a red scarf leaned in closer to a friend. "I heard she was dating someone else, a billionaire," she whispered, casting a jealous glance at Jack. The words hung in the air like smoke, the kind that choked your lungs and left you gasping. Jack's heart raced. If true, this was more than a flame, it was an inferno of lies and betrayal. Could she really have tossed away everything they'd built for another chance at fortune? His mind twisted into a whirlwind of questions and fears. Jack turned to the debris, eyes darting around, searching for something, anything that might remain of his past. As he picked his way through the wreckage, something glinted beneath a pile of ash and soot. His heart skipped. What was it? Was it hope? Or was it another painful reminder of all he had lost? With trembling hands, he brushed away the ashes, every layer revealing a shocking truth that would change everything. What he was about to uncover could turn the tides of this bitter rivalry forever. What secret lay buried beneath the chaos? As Jack scraped away the charred remains, his heart raced faster than ever. Each flick of his fingers brought forth more ash, the remnants of dreams once woven into the very fabric of the mansion. Just when he thought it was merely a lost cause, he stumbled upon something metallic. Hesitating for a moment, he cleared away the soot with urgency, revealing a small, unscathed safe, its lock barely touched by the flames. A jolt of adrenaline surged through him. A safe. Could it contain the secrets he needed to reclaim his life? Jack didn't pause to think twice. He yanked it open, heart pounding like a drum in his chest. Inside lay a trove of documents, deeds, contracts, and a bundle of photographs. His breath hitched as he flipped through them. The first picture stopped him cold. It was a candid shot of his ex-wife, Samantha, with a man Jack recognized. Liam Sampson, the billionaire she was rumored to be with. Their smiles intertwined, bright and carefree, as if the world around them had melted away. The laughter in that moment felt like a piercing knife to Jack's heart. But that knife twisted deeper as he leafed through the bundle, the next photograph revealing intimate gatherings, dinners, parties, each capturing a treacherous bond. Were they planning something over the ruins of his life? Jack could feel the heat rising in his cheeks, a fury bubbling just below the surface. Was she really that cruel, that cold to flaunt her new life while he was left in ruins? But then, he stumbled onto something even more shocking, a contract. His eyes widened. This isn't just about betrayal, he whispered to himself. The words jumped off the page, a business agreement, signed by both of them, and dated just weeks before the inferno. She had been siphoning funds, lying, sneaking around, not just in love but in business. The reality was a dagger that cut deeper than he could have imagined. Breathless and stunned, Jack staggered back, the documents hazardous in his trembling hands. A bitter taste rose in his mouth as pieces of a larger puzzle began to click into place. What had begun as a simple emotional wreckage was transforming into a conspiracy that reached far beyond standard divorce grievances. Samantha had not only devastated their marriage, she had turned their lives into a game. The crowd, still murmuring and gossiping in hushed tones, slowly took note of Jack's frantic motions. Faces turned towards him, eyes widening. People began to sense something shocking was occurring. What has he found? A voice called out, filled with intrigue. Jack looked up, the weight of the documents pressing heavily against his chest. He was no longer just a victim. He had the power to expose this betrayal, to drag it out into the open like a rat scurrying from a sinking ship. But the thought of taking action sent icy fear spidering through him. What would she do if he confronted her with this? Her laughter echoed again, haunting, mocking, a reminder of how easily she could turn the tide against him. With the crowd watching, anticipation building like pressure in a balloon ready to burst, Jack realized he had a decision to make. Should he confront her? Or should he dig deeper, uncover more, and prepare for a fight that would shatter them both? As the crowd's whispers grew, Jack clutched the photos tightly, a determination boiling within him. No more hiding, he vowed silently, ready to take charge of his fate. He wouldn't let her laugh one more time without consequence. But what he didn't know was how far Samantha had gone to bury the truth, and what she was willing to do to keep it hidden. What chilling revelation awaited him behind the next corner? Jack felt the eyes of the crowd like 1,000 burning embers on his back. The whispered speculations wrapped around him, constricting tighter with each breath he took. Anger surged within him, hot and electric, urging him to act. Yet, a sliver of doubt crept in. Could Samantha really silence him? He glanced at the photos again. Each image brimmed with promises and lies, a disturbing reflection of his crumbling past. The last thing he needed was for her to turn the tables, painting him as the shattered husband struggling to drag himself out of the ashes. He needed allies, someone who could stand with him as he unraveled this twisted knot. "Hey, Jack. You okay?" A familiar voice broke through the haze. It was Angela, an old friend from college. Her brow was furrowed with concern, and her bright blue eyes scanned his face. "Angela," his voice faltered. He couldn't spill everything right there, not with so many ears around. "I think I need help." The uncertainty in his voice triggered something in her. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "How about we get out of this circus? You can tell me what's going on." Jack looked at the gathering crowd, their faces alive with curiosity. He could either bear his ugly truth or retreat, wrapping himself in secrecy again. He made his decision. His entire life had been revolving around Samantha's lies. It was time to stand firm. "All right," Jack said, dimming his voice to a whisper only she could hear. "There's more to this than you see." She nodded, understanding the urgency. Together, they slipped through the throng of murmuring spectators, away from the heat of curious eyes, toward the safety of the nearby garden. Once out of earshot, he revealed the photographs, his voice barely above a whisper. "These are from Samantha Liam. They've been lying to me. Look at this." Jack handed her the distorted truths, each image sending a ripple of betrayal coursing through him anew. Angela's face morphed with disbelief as she flipped through the stack. "Oh my God, Jack. This is insane. The contract, this is a lot of money, isn't it?" 15 million, he replied, his voice shaky. "But the betrayal. It's more than that. I need to figure out what they planned. There has to be more." A sudden sound pierced the air. A pair of footsteps echoed behind them, deliberate and heavy. Jack's heart lurched. He turned quickly, instincts kicking in. "Jack." It was Samantha's voice, smooth and commanding, threading its way through the plants. The way she said his name felt like a snake slithering up his spine. "What are you doing here? You shouldn't be alone. Shouldn't I?" Jack shot back, the fury bubbling beneath his skin. "Shouldn't I be finding the truth instead of nursing the wounds you've inflicted?" She stepped closer, her presence like a dark storm cloud threatening to unleash chaos. "You don't want to make a scene, Jack. You know how ugly things can get. Why not just walk away?" He could see it now, the smirk barely held contained behind her tightened lips, as though she was reveling in the power she held over him. The raw betrayal ignited something deep within him. "No." He spat. "I won't back down this time." The crowd behind them stirred, drawn to the brewing storm. Jack could sense their eyes grazing over the confrontation, hungry for spectacle. "Really, Jack?" Samantha's tone shifted, turning suddenly icy. "You think you can unleash this chaos and expect me to be quiet? You've got no idea what I'm capable of." As she stepped forward, a shadow fell across Jack. The air thickened with an unseen tension, and Jack shifted uneasily. He could feel the weight of her words wrap around him, constricting like a noose. What had he unleashed? The truth was clawing at the walls around him, threatening to break free, but at what cost? With Angela silently watching, he took a deep breath, the gravity of the moment crashing into him. "Let's see what you're really capable of," Jack said, clenching the photographs tightly. As he turned to face the storm, adrenaline coursing through him, one thought struck him hard: how deep did the betrayal go? And was he ready for a truth that could shift everything he knew? But as he prepared to confront his ex-wife, something ominous caught his eye, a shadowy figure observing from the edge of the garden. Who were they, and how much did they know? The tension twisted further. How would Jack navigate this web of deceit, and what unexpected turns lay ahead? Jack's heart raced as he shifted his gaze from Samantha to the shadowy figure lurking at the edge of the garden. The sun dipped lower, casting a cloak of twilight that seemed to drape the scene in danger. Was it just a trick of the light? Or was someone indeed watching? "Who is that?" he whispered to Angela, nodding towards the silhouette. She squinted, her brow furrowing deeper in concern. "I don't know, but we should find out," she replied. Samantha's smirk remained, her confidence unwavering. "You're starting to scare me, Jack. All this posturing, you have no idea who you're dealing with." "Oh, I think I have a pretty good idea," he snapped back, determination fueling his voice. "You think silence will shield you? I'll expose your little game." With a last glare at Samantha, Jack motioned for Angela to follow, steeling himself to confront the shadow. The footsteps behind them faded as they approached the figure, but the tension only thickened. As they drew closer, the outline became clearer. It was a man, lean but muscular, dressed in dark jeans and a tight black shirt. His eyes swallowed the fading light but glinted with a sharp intensity that sent an electric shiver through Jack. "What do you want?" Jack demanded, trying to hold his ground. The fear clawing at him was palpable, though he masked it with bravado. The man shifted, a nonchalant grin stretching across his face. "Relax, Jack. I'm not here to cause trouble. But you're in over your head." Jack's stomach nodded. And you are. Let us just say I have connections. There's a lot more to this story than you realize. Is that supposed to scare me? Jack challenged, but uncertainty rippled beneath his bravado. He could feel Angela's anxious presence beside him, like a delicate tether keeping him grounded. No, it's supposed to inform you. The man leaned closer, the grin fading into a serious expression. You think this fight is just between you and Samantha? Think again. There are bigger players involved, and they don't play for keeps. You're walking into a storm. Jack exchanged a glance with Angela, a silent conversation steeped in dread. What do you know? Jack pushed, desperation creeping into his voice like ice water. I know that the money tied up in those photos is just the tip of the iceberg. There are deals being made, whispers in dark corners. Samantha isn't acting alone. What are you saying? Just then, Samantha's voice chimed in from behind them, saturated with mockery. You actually think you can navigate this without understanding the players? Sweetheart, you're on borrowed time. Every ounce of Jack's resolve bristled. The room felt tight and suffocating, as if walls were closing in, compressing every breath. I want the truth. Then you will have to fight for it, the stranger said, his eyes darkening. But be careful of who you trust. Before Jack could ask any more questions, the man slipped back into the shadows, leaving only the echo of his warning hanging in the charged air. Jack turned to face Samantha, whose expression returned to one of triumph. You see, Jack. Just walk away. I'm trying to save you. Save me. He shouted back, anger exploding out of him. Why would you want to save me when you're the one dragging me into this nightmare? The crowd had grown, whispers rippling through its edges as curiosity mounted. Jack's blood roared in his veins, the pressure of the moment almost unbearable. The faces watching were hungry, and Jack couldn't shake the feeling that they were all aware of something darker looming over him. As he clenched his fists, he heard the faint rustle of a document slipping to the ground, his breath catching in his throat. Was it another photograph? Or something worse? With his heart pounding violently, he gathered the courage to turn. The document lay just beyond his reach, caught in a puddle of light from the now setting sun. Was that a clue to the chaotic riddle unraveling around him? He needed to know what was on that paper. But was it a step into the truth or a plunge deeper into the unknown? With only a heartbeat of hesitation, Jack lunged forward. Ready to uncover what could very well change everything. What if this was the key to unraveling Samantha's web? Or a trap that could ensnare him for good? The crowd gasped as he bent to pick up the paper, anticipation hanging thick in the air. As Jack unfolded it, his breath hitched. A name was scrawled across the page. A name he had never expected. What surprises were waiting in the ether of betrayal? Jack felt the world spin around him as he stared at the name written in a hurried, jagged scrawl. It was one he had never spoken aloud but had whispered in his darkest nights, the name of the man who had haunted his thoughts since everything began to unravel. His pulse quickened, the noise of the crowd fading into a heavy, muffled silence. Jack. Angela's voice pulled him back from the precipice of confusion. What does it say? With trembling fingers, he held the paper closer, his vision blurring as the name swam in and out of focus. It's Jason, he stammered, disbelief crashing over him like a wave. The reaction was immediate. Gasps erupted from the crowd, a mix of shock and curiosity cascading like wildfire. Jason. His best friend. The man he had thought he could trust above all others. What was his name doing here, entangled in this mess? Samantha's laughter cut through the air, cruel and sharp. Isn't it delicious, Jack? The bonds of trust tied like fragile threads, just waiting to snap. Her eyes glinted with amusement, and it sickened him. You set this up, didn't you? He accused, his voice rising with fury. You and Jason. Together, plotting this whole thing. Ding, ding. You're getting warmer, she taunted, relishing in the chaos. But honey, trust me. You have no idea how low this rabbit hole goes. Jack could feel the anger bubbling in his chest. He wanted to scream, to claw at the truth. But a faint whisper of doubt crept in. Was this all just a con, another layer of deception? What does Jason have to do with all this? Angela asked, her voice steadier than his. Is he mixed up in it too? There's much more to him than you know, Samantha said, her tone dipping into a sinister charm. And as thrilling as this moment is for me, you haven't even begun to scratch the surface of what Jason has in store for you. Jason had always been the bright star, the one who rallied people together. How could he be involved in something so dark? Why would he betray me? Jack's voice was barely a whisper now, choked with disbelief. Because the stakes are higher than you could ever imagine, Jack, the figure from earlier returned, emerging from the shadows again, his expression serious and grim. And Jason isn't just a friend. He's a pivotal player in a game you can't win without him. Jack felt the weight of that statement press down on him. He hadn't just lost a friend, he'd lost a part of himself, the part that believed in loyalty, the part that thought he could navigate this with good intentions. What do you mean? Jack pressed, hoping for clarity that kept evading him. The photos, Jack. The ones you've been chasing, they're not just a personal betrayal, they're tied to something much bigger. Something involving Jason that can unravel lives and fortunes, the man explained, his tone becoming urgent. The truth is twisted, and the people behind it, they won't stop until they've secured their power. The electrifying tension rose, gnawing at Jack's insides. He glanced at Angela, who looked bewildered, her eyes wide, scanning the crowd for answers. As the whispers intensified around them, Jack's breath hitched. Suddenly, the crowd felt like a cage, their eyes like hot coals searing into him as they waited for more. What do I do? Jack muttered, realizing that ignoring this would plunge him into deeper darkness, yet confronting it could lead to total destruction. Then, from somewhere deep in the crowd, a woman stepped forward, a stranger whose face was familiar yet foreign. I know what he's planning, Jack. We can't trust anyone. Her voice cut through the noise, compelling everyone to turn their gaze toward her. Not even your own family. Jack's heart dropped. Family? The depth of betrayal was unfathomable, leaving him reeling. What deep-rooted secrets were about to come tumbling into the light? Would he find solace in the truth or be buried under its weight? Jack stood frozen, staring into the chaos, aware that everything was poised on the edge of a knife. As the truth threatened to tip the balance completely, another figure emerged from the crowd, a familiar face with a shocking revelation that could change everything. What explosive secret would be revealed next? The woman stepped forward confidently, her cheeks flushed with determination. Jack squinted at her familiar features, but her expression was foreign and calculating. You have to listen to me, Jack, she insisted, her voice piercing through the growing murmurs. This isn't a simple betrayal. Jason has been playing both sides. He's not just your friend, he's part of something dangerous. Jack's chest tightened as he felt the weight of her words pressing down. What do you know about him? Who are you? He shot back, his heart racing. Angela, caught in the eye of the storm, clutched his arm, trying to steady him. Callie, she said, as if her name could somehow justify her intrusion. I used to be Jason's partner in more ways than one. We had a history. He's tangled in something bigger than you can fathom. Bigger than me? Jack echoed, incredulous. You mean bigger than a grudge or a few bad decisions? What are you even talking about? Callie took a breath, her eyes flickering in determination. He's involved with people who don't play by normal rules. This isn't just a game to him, it's a war. You think he's loyal? He's only loyal to himself and to the money. The crowd simmered with disbelief, shifting uneasily as they processed her words. Jack felt insulted by the implications. You expect me to believe that? Jason's always been there for me. Like I said, Jack, he plays both sides. She dug into her pocket, producing a small flash drive. The crowd leaned in closer, anticipation dancing in the air. You want proof? This contains everything: documents, conversations, even plans. He's not just betraying you, he's playing you like a pawn on a chessboard. Jack's mind raced, the chaos spinning around him. He felt like he was trapped inside a twisted narrative. Could it be true? All the moments shared, the laughter, the loyalty, all reduced to a facade. Why are you telling me this? He spat, suspicion crackling in the air. Why now? Because you have a chance to turn this around. You've been chasing the truth, but you're only scratching the surface. If you want to save yourself, you need to confront him. Callie's intensity bored into him, demanding action. Samantha's laughter rang out, dripping with mockery. Oh, isn't this adorable? A little rebellion against your best friend, Jack. Her eyes gleamed, filled with dark delight. You think you can escape it all? The moment you step into Jason's world, there's no way back. Discomfort rippled through the crowd as Jack fought with the torrent of emotions. Betrayal, confusion, fear. Everything he thought he knew was unraveling like a cheap sweater. He glanced at Angela, who seemed equally lost, trying to piece together the fragments of the unfolding disaster. Do you want to know, Callie leaned in conspiratorially, what Jason really does when the lights go out? Her voice dropped to a whisper, heavy with intrigue. He breaks the very people he claims to care about. It's not just about power or loyalty, it's about control. Jack's stomach clenched. Control. It echoed painfully against the walls of all he believed in. As he stood there, two paths lay before him. He could accept this truth, dive headfirst into the chaos, or retreat, hoping it all just went away. But deep inside, he knew this wouldn't go away, not without a fight. Just then, a loud commotion erupted at the edge of the crowd. A man, breathless and wild-eyed, pushed through, his face a mask of urgency. Jack! You need to see this. Now! He clutched at Jack's arm, urgency radiating from him. What now? Jack demanded, tangled between hope and dread. He caught a glimpse of pallor in the man's eyes. It's about Jason and what he is planning next. You're in grave danger. This isn't just personal anymore. As the crowd swirled around him in tension, Jack felt the full weight of impending doom. What seismic shift lurked just outside their understanding? What was Jason orchestrating? As he faced the whirlwind of danger, one thing was clear. The next hour would change everything. Would it be the truth that finally set him free, or the lie that plunged him deeper into betrayal? Only time would reveal the true nature of his best friend. But right now, everything hinged on what Jason was plotting, and they were running out of time. The urgency was palpable, like the electrifying buzz before a storm. Jack's heart thundered in his chest as he pulled the wild-eyed man closer. What do you know? He demanded, the surrounding crowd fading as the weight of the moment enveloped him. Jason is planning something big. I heard him talking last night. A deal is going down. A dangerous deal, the stranger blurted, his breath ragged. You can't trust anyone. He's mixing business with, well, you need to see this. What do you mean? Mixing what with what? Jack pressed, but the man's eyes darted nervously, as if he were too afraid to say more. Follow me. The man said abruptly, before spinning around and darting through the crowd. Jack hesitated. The truth pulled at him with a fierce urgency, but fear held his feet. Angela squeezed his arm tight. He can't be trusted, she whispered, uncertainty and tension radiating from her. Jack looked back at Callie, who stood quietly observing, arms crossed. You think he's right? He wouldn't betray me, would he? Callie's expression hardened, her lips pursed. You know what you need to do. Follow him. Now. Jack took one last look at the crowd, the faces of friends flickering with uncertainty and doubt. Then, with a deep breath, he turned away from the comfort of the familiar and plunged into the throng, following the man who seemed to hold the key to unraveling Jason's twisted game. They navigated through darkening streets, the fading light casting long shadows, gripping Jack with a sense of foreboding. The man led him into an alley, deep enough to seem removed from the world, quiet save for their hushed breaths. "Here," the man said, pulling out a small folder. "A copy of the documents I managed to snag from his office. You need to see this." He thrust the folder into Jack's hands, his eyes flashing with desperation. "I risked everything to get this." Jack's heart dropped as he flipped it open. Words blurred in the dim light. His mind raced, trying to piece together the chilling implications. What is all this? Plans for a massive deal, a shipment, weapons, and he's in it deep with the wrong crowd. "If you don't get ahead of this, Jack, it could cost you your life," the man warned, his voice taut with urgency. "What's Jason thinking?" Jack's voice trembled, fear clawing at his insides. It was all so twisted, so insane. His best friend, involved in this darkness. How could he let this happen? "That's what you need to figure out," the man replied. "You need to confront him. Find out where he's meeting tonight. Time is ticking." Suddenly, the alley felt constricting, suffocating. Jack felt sweat on his brow and adrenaline coursed through his veins. The stakes were higher than he'd ever imagined. It was more than a betrayal, it was a deep-seated danger that reached beyond him. He looked back at the man. "And what happens if I find him?" "You must be ready for anything, Jack. He may not be the Jason you think he is," the stranger warned, a chilling finality deep in his voice. Jack's thoughts spiraled, panic shadowing his resolve. He had to act, had to confront the man who had been at his side through everything. But was he ready to uncover the truth? With a nod, Jack shoved the papers into his jacket. He had a mission now, an urgent, throbbing sense of purpose. But what kind of monster was he about to face? As he turned to leave the alley, a figure loomed at the entry, silhouetted against the dim light, the unmistakable shape of Jason. He looked different somehow, menacing, his smile too wide, too knowing. "Jack," Jason called, his voice smooth as silk but with an edge that cut through the air. "You're in the wrong place." Fear twisted in Jack's gut as he stood frozen, caught between the weight of truth and the threat of the unknown. What would unfold here, tonight? Would he uncover Jason's dark secret, or would he become another one of the pieces sacrificed in the game? Only one thing was certain, the moment had come. Jack's pulse raced as he took in the calculating glint in Jason's eyes. This wasn't the loyal friend he knew, this was someone else entirely. The tension in the alley was suffocating, and every instinct screamed at him to run. But turning his back on Jason now would mean surrendering to the unknown horrors he might unleash. "What's going on?" Jack asked, trying to keep his voice steady despite the tremor inside him. He grasped the folder tighter, feeling the cool paper like a lifeline. "Just a little misunderstanding, right?" Jason's smile widened, but there was nothing friendly about it. "You should be careful about listening to strangers." Jack's mind reeled. The stranger had warned him. Was Jason involved in something so deep, so twisted that he could turn against his closest friends without a blink? Fear surged through him, pounding in his ears as he fought to hold his ground. "Why are you here?" Jack demanded, each word weighed down by a mix of anger and betrayal. "What are you hiding?" Jason stepped forward, his body blocking the alley exit, the shadows clinging to him like a second skin. "Hiding? Oh, I'm not hiding, Jack. I'm preparing. And honestly, you should be too. This is a dangerous game. Are you threatening me?" Jack's voice dropped to a whisper, the realization landing heavy in the air. All those years of friendship, what had it meant when put against this looming dread? "Threatening?" Jason chuckled, a dark sound that echoed around them. "Consider it an invitation. You've got so many questions, and I could provide answers. But you need to understand you can't just reckon with me like before. Things have changed. Before Jack could respond, Jason lunged forward, his hand darting out to snatch the documents from Jack's grip. Panic surged through Jack's veins, he wouldn't let Jason have them without a fight. He reacted instinctively, yanking his body sideways, and the two men collided. Jack felt the weight of his friend's shoulder hit him squarely in the chest, and they both tumbled to the ground, the air knocked out of him. As they scrambled to their feet, Jack caught sight of the folder scattered across the filthy pavement, several papers flapping wildly in the breeze, teasing secrets. The adrenaline coursed through him like fire, and he lunged for the documents, but Jason was quicker. He scooped them up with a cruel laugh, tailing back into the shadows. "You don't want to play with me, Jack," Jason called, his voice dripping with malice. "You never did. But I think you're about to learn how deep this rabbit hole goes." Jack's heart lurched as he scrambled to his feet, his thoughts racing. Could he confront Jason? Did he even want to? But the clock was ticking. He had to know what Jason was planning, and this was a battle he couldn't afford to lose. With the papers flapping in Jason's hands, he had no time to consider what his next move should be. A flicker of determination ignited within him. He couldn't let fear hold him back. Jack glanced around the alley, searching for an escape route. The police sirens echoed in the distance, but there wasn't time to waste waiting for help. "Jason!" Jack yelled, chasing through the alley, desperation fueling his feet. "You can't hide. You owe me the truth." But Jason was a ghost in the shadows, slipping into the night, the darkness swallowing him whole. Just as Jack rounded a corner, he skidded to a halt, eyes wide. Up ahead, he spotted a figure standing still against the light, eyes sharp, a face he recognized. "Angela." "Jack!" she called, urgency in her voice. "What is happening?" What did he? Before she could finish, a low rumble echoed from the end of the alley, the unmistakable roar of engines. Something dark, something huge was approaching. Jack felt a knot in his stomach. Whatever Jason was into, it was deeper than he had ever imagined. "Angela, we need to get out of here," Jack said, urgency lacing his tone. "Now." As they turned to flee, silhouettes emerged from the darkness, engines revving like predators prepared to pounce. Jack felt the icy grip of fear tighten around his throat. This was just the beginning of a web that could ensnare them both, but just what waited in that unfolding chaos? Would the truth bring them together or tear them apart? The night had only just begun. Heart pounding, Jack felt the weight of the moment crash down. The distant growl of engines grew louder, a tangible threat closing in. He glanced at Angela, her brow furrowed, eyes wide with fear. There was no turning back, whatever it was that lurked behind them, it wanted something and it had already come to collect. "Follow me," Jack shouted, grabbing Angela's wrist and urging her forward. Every instinct screamed at him not to look back. They pushed deeper into the alley, the shadows twisting around them like phantoms waiting to snatch their lives away. He darted past doorways and dumpsters, keeping as low as he could to avoid detection. Jason's laughter echoed in his mind, a haunting reminder of how far things had spiraled. Angela stumbled slightly but regained her footing, her breath coming in quick gasps. "What is going on, Jack? Who were those guys?" "It's not just those guys. It's Jason," he replied, the words heavy with betrayal. "He's tangled in something way darker than I thought. I need to figure out how deep it goes. I can't let him walk away with that folder." "Why does it matter? What's in it?" Angela's eyes darted around, always alert, scanning for any sign of danger as they rounded another corner. The rumbling engines were relentless, growing more ominous. Closer, Jack hesitated, trying to grasp the enormity of it all. "It's everything. It could ruin lives. It could ruin." His voice broke as memories flooded his mind. They had fought for years to leave that chaos behind. Could it all come crashing back down just like that? Angela's expression shifted, flicking from concern to determination. "Then we need to stop him." "But how?" "We're outnumbered, Jack." Ahead, a flicker of light drew Jack's eye. An open door led to a stairwell that plunged down into darkness. He hesitated, knowing full well how dangerous it could be, but they had no choice. "Down there," he said, pointing urgently. As they dove into the stairwell, silence enveloped them. The darkness felt alive, almost suffocating, and Jack's heartbeat echoed in his ears. He felt for the rail to guide them, steadying himself against the weariness crawling into his limbs. It was hard to breathe. A creeping sense of dread gnawed at him. "Are you okay?" Angela whispered. Her hand slipped into his as they navigated the descent. "Just need to catch my breath," he said, though he didn't know if he could. The shadows around them chilled his bones, tightening his chest. "If we just stick together, we'll find a way out of this." They reached the bottom, and Jack peered through the darkness, searching for any hint of where they might emerge. Suddenly, the air shuddered, and the sound of heavy footsteps echoed above them, the thuds growing more pronounced. "They're coming," Angela said, her voice barely above a whisper. Just then, a soft light flickered to life down the corridor ahead and Jack felt a surge of hope. They moved cautiously towards it, steeling themselves for whatever lay beyond. But as they crept closer, a voice distinctly rang through the corridor, chilling Jack to the bone. "Search every corner." Someone barked. "We can't let them slip away again." Jack froze. Again. What had they been through before? Had Jason worked with these people before? Questions spiraled in his mind. "Jack," Angela hissed, tugging him back behind an old, crumbling wall. All was spiraling so fast everything felt too huge. Jack could feel the heat creeping up the back of his neck, the weight of his choices weighing heavy. Just what had Jason drawn them into? The footsteps faded momentarily, and Jack took a breath, plastering on a determination. Whatever truth awaited them, he wasn't backing down now. They had to confront this nightmare. As the echoes re-emerged, Jack and Angela exchanged glances, both knowing the stakes had risen higher than they ever imagined. But would they be able to uncover the secrets Jason had buried, or would they fall into the same trap he had laid? The night was only beginning to unveil its horrors. And just as the light flickered again, revealing what lay ahead, Jack's stomach twisted. Did they have the strength to face the truth together? Jack felt a surge of desperation coursing through him as he peeked around the crumbling wall into the dim corridor. His heart raced with the urgency of a man on the brink of uncovering everything. The thrill and terror tangled together. There was a very real chance that the truth would sting more than any betrayal he'd faced. "Now or never," he whispered to Angela, steeling himself. They had to push through, had to confront whatever truth awaited them at the end of this sinister path. He could feel her resolve beside him, a silent agreement forged in the fear that bound them both. As they slipped from behind the wall, light flickered once more, casting a faint shadow on a steel door at the end of the hallway. Jack could hear muffled conversations drifting from the other side, a mix of voices, some calm and calculating, others laced with tension. "Incoming!" Someone shouted suddenly, making Jack's heart jump in his chest. The footsteps above resumed, echoing down the stairs. Panic surged, his thoughts racing. They had to make a decision, and fast. "They're looking for us," Angela said, a hint of fear sharpening her tone. "What if they find us?" "We've come too far to turn back now," Jack replied, hand firm on the cold doorknob. He had to believe that even if they stumbled into danger, they could navigate their way out. He turned the knob slowly, the door creaking ominously as it swung open, revealing a chaotic scene. The room beyond was dimly lit, papers strewn about, walls plastered with maps, and a table cluttered with gadgets of surveillance. Jason stood at its center, flanked by two men who radiated power and danger. Jack's heart dropped. This was it. "Jack!" Jason's voice cut through the room like a knife. It was dispassionate, eyes flicking without any trace of remorse, the smile that once felt warm now chilling to the bone. "Looks like you decided to join the party. But I must warn you, it's a private affair." "Why, Jason?" Jack demanded, outrage surging through him. What the hell have you been doing? Who are these people? You don't want to know, buddy, one of the men said, arrogance dripping from his tone. You're in over your head. You might want to leave while you still can. Leave? Jack spat, anger boiling in his veins. You're my best friend, and this is what you've become. I want answers. Jason leaned against the table, assessing him with that disturbing smirk. Answers, huh? Wasn't he expecting this determination from you, Jack? But you're too late. You're caught in a web that's much bigger than just me or you. What web? Angela spoke up, her voice steady despite the danger thrumming in the air. Jack turned to her, a mix of admiration and fear washing over him. He could feel time slipping away, every second was a lifetime, every heartbeat a countdown. If they didn't act now, they would be trapped. They're planning something dangerous, Jack pushed out in defiance, glancing at the others as he turned back to Jason. I saw the documents. You're selling us out, Jason. I want to let you drag me into whatever this is. Laughter erupted from Jason, a cruel, mocking sound that sent shivers down Jack's spine. Oh Jack, you still don't get it. This isn't just betrayal, this is survival. You think it's personal? It's business, and if you're not on board, you're off the table. Jack felt his stomach twist. You were supposed to be my friend. He shouted, the weight of the past crashing down on him. How could you do this? In this world, Jack, friends don't exist. Just players and pawns, Jason replied, his voice dipped in bitterness. You never understood the stakes. Enough. A voice barked from behind him. Jack turned sharply as the man who had approached them earlier stepped forward, his presence commanding the room. This hasn't gone as planned, Jason. We can't just let him walk away. Fear rippled through Jack. Had their confrontation caught the interest of bigger players, those who would not hesitate to destroy their lives? What is it going to be, Jack? Jason asked, a predatory gleam in his eyes. Join me, or face the consequences. There's a deal about to go down, one that could secure us both if you're willing. Jack felt a tightness in his chest, truth intertwining with rage. You think I would ever align with you after this? After everything? The echoes of his thoughts weighed heavy, dark and unrelenting. They had been through hell together, childhood friends, brothers in arms, now drawn into a sinister game of deceit and treachery. Then you know what happens next, Jason replied, his smirk never wavering. With a decisive movement, Jack pushed forward, refusing to back down, anger surging. No. I'm done playing along with your twisted game. You think you can manipulate me into running scared? I want to let you take control. Angela stepped beside him, her voice a steady anchor. We're not afraid of you or anyone, Jason. This ends now. The crowded room shifted, tension snapping like a taut wire. Jack stood united with Angela, the specter of fear peeling away as resolve and courage surged forward. Jason seemed to falter, the mockery fading momentarily. This isn't just a matter of choice, Jack. There are consequences for defiance. Do you really think you can walk out of here? No, they weren't walking away. They were warriors standing against a tide of manipulation. Jack felt the adrenaline pump through him, mingled with a fierce sense of purpose. You want to control our lives, he challenged, ready to fight for the truth and for themselves, and in that moment, everything changed. The weight of betrayal became a catalyst for rebellion, the very chains that sought to bind them now igniting flames of defiance. Jack understood the gamble before him, the road ahead was riddled with uncertainty, but there was no turning back, no hiding from the truth any longer. Before Jason could respond, the stranger surged forward, determination blazing in his eyes. If you think this ends here, you're mistaken. You don't get to hide behind your lies anymore, he shouted, adrenaline matching the charge coursing through Jack. What are you doing? Jack demanded, but it was too late. The room ignited in chaos. The thundering footsteps echoed behind them, but this time it wasn't about retreat, it was about facing the storm head-on. The fight had begun. Every emotion, anger, fear, and longing to reclaim what had been lost boiled together as they faced the beginning of a battle that would define their lives going forward. With grit and determination, Jack knew he was ready to expose the truth. This was where they would reclaim their power, confronting a past filled with betrayal. The future waited just beyond that door, and for the first time, the only way forward was together, ready to face whatever awaited them next, but above all, as the chaos erupted around them, one undeniable truth echoed clearer than ever in Jack's mind: this was just the beginning. Transform your life. Now that you've experienced this shocking conclusion, you need to subscribe immediately. You don't want to miss the exclusive stories waiting just around the corner. Smash that like button now to please the algorithm and feed this community. Flood the comments section with your theories about what happens next and how you feel about Jack's journey. And don't forget to instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this powerful twist. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second.